Now, Blue Bossa is a simple set of changes, right? But learning to improvise lines across those changes can take quite a bit of work if you're in that place where you're stuck with set places to play your arpeggios. Say, for instance, first chord C minor, and you're like, okay, you've got that kind of set, rigid, routine place that you go to. Now, lesson 1 of season 2 of making the changes focused on really getting to know a chord across the range of the fretboard so you can avoid being so rigid with chords. Personally, I feel the problem for most guitar players is they get stuck in these vertical box-like positions, much like, I don't know, pentatonic boxes, when really the key to really unlocking the fretboard, those sit within your knowledge of the fretboard, of course, but you can play horizontally as well, and I think triads are the best way to do that. Now, if you don't feel that you could play C minor continuously like I am there, then start with my first video. I'll link that in the description. But we want to move things a little bit forward today, and let's bring in a chord change. Say the second chord of Blue Bossa is F minor 7. Now I'm just going to simplify it down to F minor because I think triads are super helpful for learning the fretboard. And now, if you saw that second chord, F minor, the natural thing most guitar players are going to respond by doing when playing arpeggios is to jump, as I said, for these kind of one classic vertical guitar shapes. Nothing wrong with them, of course, but that's where you'd probably go, right? And then you could do one off the A string up here. I like putting the 5th underneath it. And those are obviously like big jumps, right? If you were playing across C minor and F minor, that would mean, you might go C minor, then F minor. Maybe a bigger jump like this. Or C minor to F minor. Either way, they're big jumps, and we want to avoid that. Now, the problem with that is using arpeggios to solo with and starting from the root is just too rigid for improvising in the truest sense. Whilst it's an option, the thing that really changed things for me is being able to freely switch between chords. For instance, if I'm on the 5th of C minor, the minor 3rd of the F minor is just 1 fret above, and that's a much more musical way to move. And knowing that and hearing that is going to be better for building melodies than the full arpeggio. But the paradox of that is being able to do that is built on knowing the full arpeggio well, and then beyond the shapes, learning to find that across the range of the fretboard. And the challenge then is being able to switch between chords and create melodies. So you can use your chord tones, arpeggios to create a melody on the C minor, and then when the F minor comes in, you can do the same thing, and you're not just sort of stuck playing the arpeggios. So today's lesson will build upon lesson 1, being able to play C minor across the range of the guitar, but with one simple addition, the next chord of Blue Bossa. So we're going to focus on C minor to F minor, because I think you will find that if you can play freely over those opening chords, it will help open things up and give your solo a strong start. Now, a valid question you might have is, why are we not playing C minor 7, F minor 7? Well, I think the triads are much more useful to develop your fretboard knowledge, and then you can easily embellish the triad and turn it into a minor 7 or a minor 7 flat 5, or even a dominant or a major 7 for that matter. Now, this lesson is structured into 3 practice activities to help you. And before we get into it, I'll just say the backing track and fretboard diagrams are on the supported tier of my Patreon page, link in the description. Now, the first thing we need to do is find F minor across the range of the guitar, and I want you to have both a vertical and horizontal appreciation of this. I think a lot of it comes down to how we visualize things on the guitar. I do think the big arpeggio shapes using both E minor and A minor shape are helpful for this and probably relatable for most of you. So with that being F minor here, I included an extra 3rd on the top because it's a note available in that area of the guitar, right? Just make sure you can play that clean, you know what's going on. 1, flat 3, 5. Then it's the same thing repeating in the next octave. Then we get 2 of those notes repeating. Important to realise that it's just the same thing. I mean, one way to simplify things is if you're trying to play F minor across the guitar, you're trying to find those 3 notes. It's only 3 notes. And there it is in the low octave. There it is in the next one. I could complete it in that one, but I'm then slipping into a horizontal way of playing, right? So that's based on like your E minor shape bar chord for F minor. Let's do the same with an A minor shape bar chord at fret 8. Now, I'm going to include the fifth on the low E string because it's an available note in that range of the guitar. So we go. Might want to finish on the root to resolve. So we're using that to visualize and that gives us two places on the guitar where we can play F minor, but that is what it is. It's two places on the guitar, and we need to be able to find that in the bits in between, the bit between those two shapes, and then the bit above, the bit between those two shapes from the carry on, right? Because if you did the first one, you could do that at fret 13. So finding it in the next octave, you're not going to get the next one though. Little practice suggestion, you could take my arpeggio diagrams from last time, which will be linked to the Patreon post as well, and those two, and see if you can just play F minor and C minor using those vertical shapes. Now what we just played, as I said, is just triads repeating themselves. 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 1 3 5 and so on. Now, to get into the horizontal playing, we need triads going, up and down the fretboard. So here we have I'm going to do these shapes on GBE, DGB and ADG. You could work out EAD if you wish. So first shapes on the top three strings. Now these are part of the shapes we've already done. This is the top of the E minor shape. You might recognise that second one as a D minor shape. This is the bottom of our A minor shape arpeggio. So you can use those big shapes to help you visualise here still, right? We've got third, fifth, root, 5 1 3 1 3 5. It obviously repeat up here as well beyond fret 12. Moving in, F minor on DGB. Found within the shapes we've already done, the first and the third one. 1 3 5 3 5 1 5 1 3. Next set of strings. That one's 5 1 3 1 3 5 3 5 1. Piecing that all together, we have. And it's the same thing, right? We're just finding the same sounds in different places on the guitar. What's key is that these aren't just shapes, right? So, for instance, if I play this one, can you hear the note that would be next above it on that high E string? I'm going. So it went up to a fifth. 5 1 flat 3 5. If I play this one down here. That's where you want to get to. If I do this one and go down, and I encourage you, sing them as you play them. Do what I'm doing here. Go up one, down the other. There I'm going up one, down the other. Practice them in different ways to just learn to hear it in different ways. And what you could do is put on like an F drone or an F minor static backing track, just one chord. If I just do it with my Game Changer audio thing here, let's do it in F minor. Let's do a triad. Knock the volume up a little bit. Now then, what you do, find your arpeggios. Play the triads. Playing them descending because I felt like it. And then obviously trying to, do different things with them. Play them in different orders. as you open your ear up to the sound of the chord, you might find you can find the arpeggio on one string, like I'm doing here. And then things are starting to open up in terms of your knowledge of the chord. Now, if we were to bring in C minor, the idea of the chord change, we need to just remind ourselves what that is from last lesson. So we had the two big shapes of the E string off the A. When I say off the A, I'm including the fifth underneath because it's an available note in that area of the guitar. We then go at the triads on the top three strings. My action on my guitar needs sorting out there. Now let's appreciate how these two chords connect. If you're going to apply that knowledge of the F minor and the C minor to then be able to play across the chord changes and get more fluent with the fretboard, then we need to see how those two chords can interact with one another. So Blue Bossa opens with 2 bars of C minor, 2 bars of F minor. And for us to really know how to play across this change, we need to know how these two chords connect, or as I like to say, collide. Now, this way in future you'll be able to play a melodic line that goes from C minor to F minor rather than separate ideas on each chord, which is of course a melodic choice that you can make, but it's quite nice once you get into the idea of playing an idea that goes between the two chords. So just to be clear, C minor is C, E flat, G, 1 flat 3 5, F minor, same intervallic construction, F, A flat, C. So when those two chords change to one another, we have a shared note in C. So the root of C becomes the fifth of F minor. So when playing across those two chords, that could be a good note to bridge between them. You know, you could build a melody around that note. So you could just play that C, play it rhythmic, maybe incorporate some other notes, but really focus on that C. Because I find us guitarists often neglect some of the simpler ideas that I often hear other instruments. Now our third of C, E flat, that could go up a tone to the root. And I mentioned earlier in the video, the fifth of the C chord, G, that has the best move possible. That could just go up a semitone, so 1 fret to the flat 3 of F minor, so go G to A flat. Just a reminder that that backing track and all the PDFs on here are available on Patreon, link in the description. Now, even just playing those pairs of notes really simply at the point of change, sounds effective, and it sounds better than playing. To my ears, it sounds more musical than playing the full arpeggios, you know, like 2 octaves of everything. And by playing with less, you might find also that you don't need to come in on beat 1 of the C minor. You might come in later in the second bar at some point, and that's a nice, you know, habit to get away from, always starting on beat 1. And the key is learning to hear these basic notes and how they can move from to one another. I suggest you sing as you play very simple things built on those chord tones that you can truly hear. Now this next bit of practice is where you might hit fretboard blind spots, which, you know, we've all encountered. What I want you to do is play quarter notes on each chord. So we've got 2 bars of C minor, so you're going to play 8 notes. We then change to F minor, play 8 notes. Where you play those on the guitar, mix it up. Just start randomly and see if you can keep it going, change direction. Of course, you could make a jump as well, if you wish. The aim here is to play continuously with the arpeggio. You're going to play 8 notes on each chord. So if I was on C minor, let's say I start from the root. That would put me on the third of the C to finish. 1, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 1, 5, 3. Nearest note of the F chord, I'm on an E flat, is a tone above, is an F. Then I've got a choice. Do I go up? Or do I go down? That's the idea. If you start from the third of the C minor, maybe I start from the third and go down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I went back up by a note. Or the nearest note of the F minor, I'm on a G, so it's the A flat. Now I could go, let's go down then back up. If you see what I mean, so you're trying to play continuously 8 notes of C minor, then 8 notes of F minor. Go to the nearest note of the F minor though when you get to it. You can start on any note within the chord, and you can change direction within it. Arpeggios are often thought of as up and then down. But what's to say you can't go up by 1 note and then back down like that, or up by 2 notes, or 3 notes, so then back down, and so forth. So you can change direction mid the arpeggio wherever you are. And just remember, you are finding the same thing. 1 3 5, 1 flat 3 5 for both chords, and it's the same sound. Yes, of course, C minor and F minor are different notes, but it's the same intervallic structure. So you're finding that same musical structure. That's why I picked this song, because you can hear the parallel case of the 2 chords. If you wanted to take it up a notch, you'd try that in 8th notes. Include things like pivots and varying the order of the notes. Instead of 1 3 5, go 1 5 3 and so forth. And remember, this is a Latin jazz track, so keep those 8s straight, please. You could then move on to using less and singing what you play to see which notes you are drawn to. And obviously, over time, you're going to want to incorporate other things like chromatics and other notes for colour, things like the 9th, you know, your 6s, your 4th, and so on, as a kind of passing notes or things to add more, inject more colour and tension and release too. Now, if you've enjoyed today's lesson and you would like to support what I do, please do check out the link to my Patreon page, as these videos do take a considerable amount of time to plan, film and edit, and any support is greatly appreciated. Feel free to leave any questions you have below and I'll get back to you, and don't forget, jazz guitar lessons here every Monday. Until next time, you take care.